I have a tendency to go more toward the tactical type knives or field knife, and not necessarily the bushcraft. But this is one that I've just really been looking at. Condor makes some really basic knives, but yet they're super useful. And you know, I do a lot of camping and hiking, and I'm out in the field quite a bit. And having something that can really you know, fit that bill, because really you're going to be doing a lot more bushcraft type things than tactical. And I had the Parang before from Condor. I loved it. I mean, it's a very large knife. You know, Condor, these are made down in El Salvador, and they really have their roots out of Solingen, Germany. The company has been around since the 1700s. But now Condor itself really was bought out in about 1980 by a bunch of local investors, and they're one of the largest manufacturers of machetes and shovels in the world. In 2004 they started coming into the US market and to European markets, and you know, it's just really been a very popular brand, mainly because they just have kind of a hand finish to them. And that's because there are a lot of hand finished processes on these knives. And so what we're looking at is the Bushlore. And you know, one of the things I want to mention though right up front is the handles themselves. They are hardwood, but you can any of them, whatever you pick, they're all different. I hand picked this one. I was out at Going Gear. We were doing the meet and greet, and this one was in the case, and I told Marshall, I said, this is the one I want right here. And we looked through some of the others, and the handles were different. Some of them were more plain, some of them had the marbling in it. And so when you order one of these Bushlores, you're not necessarily going to get this kind of marbling in the handle. And that's part of the mystique of these knives, is you get something that's been, you know, handcrafted. Has a 4 5/8 inch blade. Overall, it's about 9 inches. And they do make a smaller version, and they also make a version with micarta scales. And the micarta, I like micarta, but I just really wanted the wood, and specifically because of this texturing. The micarta scales run a little bit more. But one of the things it does come with is this really well done leather sheath. The sheath is a nice oiled sheath, has the Condor logo embossed into the leather. Stitching is very heavy, has really nice rivets to hold this in place, and then you have your rivets here. And this is great for the belt, of course, top and bottom. But this is a really easy knife to carry, and the sheath itself is finished very well. Sheath's very smooth, holds it very well, recesses it down, but easy to deploy. One of the very attractive parts of this knife though is the price. They run $42.98, I believe it is, on the Going Gear website. Then you get the 10% Suits discount, so you're getting under $40 for a really excellent knife. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit, but price is really important in this setup. And you know, you try to buy just this leather sheath alone, and you know, you $25–30 bucks. You know, it's a really great combination. Now the steel itself is carbon steel, which is my preferred choice. It does require maintenance. You have to keep up with it. It will rust if you're not careful. In fact, there's a coating that Condor puts on these knives so they won't turn before you get them. And as you use them, that coating will wear off. But that just kind of keeps them preserved, you know, while they're in transit, while they're sitting in stores. The brass here with the grommets, the brass posts that go through to hold the scales in, and then it has a brass ring here for a lanyard, which I've attached a paracord lanyard on here, which works really well. Here you can see the full tang that goes all the way through, which is a must for any kind of survival or bushcraft knife. The blade is a drop point, and it has a Scandi grind, and you can see it's a very deep grind to it. These are fairly sharp, but one of the things about it, it's not like super sharp. But the great thing about carbon steel is that you can, you know, sharpen these a lot easier than you can some of the more expensive steels. One of the things though that Condor does is they test these knives, and they want them to be fairly flexible. And because of that, it keeps the thickness down, but they're still very tough. And that's one of the things they strive to do, is have a thin, strong blade that will give some. It's going to have a little bit of give, but yet it's going to have the strength you need. And they have about a 50 to 55 Rockwell hardness. It does have a satin bead blast finish, and then of course with the edge it's bright and shiny. But these are hand finished, so it's not going to be a pristine, finish to it, but again, for the price, and it kind of adds to the mystique again of this knife. The weight on the knife, 5.8 ounces, with the sheath, 8.3 ounces. Now the handle has a palm swell right here in the middle, and then it kind of flares out just a touch toward the end, and then it comes down and it narrows out, and of course has this guard right here. One of the things about this knife is the handle. It's very comfortable in the hand, and I think you'll find that it just fits well, and that really helps with, you know, with the wear on your hand and being able to grip the knife, and it feels more natural. Again, the grip is very natural. Actually, my hand holding the wood is more tired and than the hand using to cut. As far as sharpness goes, not too bad, but not super sharp. But it does cut through this cardstock. A little bit of roughness though. I think this could be touched up pretty easily. Shaves pretty good. Get some good shavings. Pretty clean cut through that sapling. Real easy to make a spear point, or if you need to make whatever you need to do. I mean, it really carves well. This bigger stuff, I really love this cedar. Love that red coming through. The way it smells. It's lightweight, plus it's pretty strong. Look at that beautiful color. Just incredible. Of course, with this kind of tip, if you need to do any kind of drilling, you can get this not too sharp. It's got a good strong point. We're going to do a little batoning with some of this cedar. Now I've got a little nest put together, but as I always do, I've got some Vaseline and cotton balls. And I keep this really handy in all my packs. Just pull it apart. And we're going to set it right at the edge, like that, so we can get it with our fire steel. We're going to use one of the Light My Fire steels, putting out a pretty good spark. That was quick. Man, it didn't take long to get that going. Okay, let's talk about some final thoughts and pros and cons about the knife. We'll start with the pros first. It is a very high quality knife, great for bushcraft. It handles a lot of different tasks with ease. The price is just exceptional at under $40 with a really nice leather sheath. You can get it again with the micarta handles or the wood, and you can get the mini, which is a little bit smaller for more detailed work. And one of the things I like about this point is that it's really applicable for fine detailed work. It's very ergonomic in the hand. The grip is just fantastic. I mean, there's just no way around it. Now, as far as cons go, again, it is a $40 knife. And, you know, so there are going to be some limitations to the steel, even though it's 1075 carbon, high carbon steel, which honestly, that is a big plus for me. I really like the carbon. You know, 1095 would be a little bit better, a little bit harder. You are going to have to do a little maintenance on it. And the leather sheath itself, sometimes that could even be an issue if you're out at extended periods with weather. But for what 99.9% of us do, this sheath is going to be excellent. One other thing that you might find is a con is the blade for batoning. It needs to be a little bit longer, would be better for some serious batoning. But and then with it dropping to the drop point, if it was a little more straight out, you'd have a little more surface. But I found that, you know, this was adequate for all the batoning for your standard tasks. Now, if you're building huge shelters and things like that, you may need a little bit of a larger knife. But for all of your just bushcraft field things that you're going to be doing, I think this knife is up to the task. Now, these have a lifetime warranty. If anything goes wrong with the knife, other than just straight out abuse, you know, they will repair or replace the knife. They also have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you get the knife and you just don't like it, you can send it back to Condor and they'll replace your full refund for the knife. And you're not having to send this back to El Salvador where it's made. You can actually send this down to Orlando, Florida, where they import these knives. Again, these are available at goinggear.com, and I want to thank Marshall for sending the knife for the review. A really neat little budget quality knife. And again, you get the Such 00 10% discount. The price on this knife is $42.98. Then you take the 10% discount, so you're getting another $4 and something off. So you're getting really around the $36, $37 range for a really nice bushcraft knife that's going to hold up really well. One of the things I'll encourage you to do is to check out all the different reviews on this knife. I mean, there's a lot of testimonies about this knife, and for the money, it's just exceptional. Yes, you can spend more money, you can get better steel, but really for what this knife is used for, and one of the things I've always found is a lot of times guys will buy really nice, expensive knives and then tuck them away in their safe. This is one of those knives that you love to take this out into the woods, and you don't mind really scuffing it up and using it. And showing it a little love is what I call it. Really, putting it through its paces and not really worrying too much about the knife itself. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. It has a 4 and 5/8 inch.
Say hello to my little friend.
There's a lot of nice things made in Central America.